Good morning, students. Today I am going to present before you your chapter 1 from your Contemporary World Politics book, and the name of the chapter is the Cold War Era. The first topic of this particular chapter is what is Cold War. The term Cold War was first coined by Professor Lippmann. It made him to term this whole period as Cold War because in this particular era the scholars saw the ideological conflict between the two superpowers of that point of time. The then superpowers of the Cold War period were two, namely USA and USSR. USSR in present day, it is the Russia who is called to be its successor. And this Cold War period, these two superpowers, they never went into the conflict directly with each other. Instead, Cold War is called to be as Cold War because it was a indirect ideological war between the two power blocks with their ideologies, USA coming up with capitalism and USSR coming up with communism or socialism. Hence, this phase of ideological indirect conflicts between these two ideologies is known as Cold War. The next topic is how we can understand the emergence of two power blocks. In this whole phase, these two power blocks started influencing the smaller nations on political, economic and social line. And once politically the smaller nations started joining the either of the two power blocks, divided the whole world in the Cold War period into two enemy camps. The scholars said at that phase it made the smaller nations either to join capitalism under USA or communism under USSR, which made clearly the whole world into two halves, into two enemy camps. Hence, the emergence of two power blocks is known when the smaller countries politically who joined USA following the ideology or accepting the ideology of capitalism, they came up as a group, political group called as the NATO group or the Western Alliance, focusing and spreading the idea of capitalism to be the most good ideology. And on the other hand, we also get countries who supported and joined USSR for spreading the idea that communism is the best ideology and it should be spreaded, and that group came to be known as the Warsaw Group or the Eastern Alliance. So it is in this way the whole Cold War period saw the emergence of two power blocks in global politics. Our third topic is Cuban Missile Crisis. Cuba is an island nation near to USA, but during the Cold War period it ideologically supported USSR. So thereby in the year 1960s there was a struggle for Cuba between the two power blocks and it was in its peak. Cuba wanted to remain independent and it was a friend of USSR, and this thing was not liked by USA and it was continuously disturbing Cuba. Looking into the disturbance of USA and to save Cuba from USA and to retain its independence the way it is, it made USSR to create a military base in Cuba so that it can save Cuba from USA. Looking into the step by the then president of USSR that they have launched a military base in Cuba, USA thought that USSR is ready to attack USA because of Cuba, and on the other hand it made USA also to get ready for a military attack on Cuba against USSR. However, this particular attack is called as the Cuban Missile Crisis. But this Cuban Missile Crisis did not officially came into or turn into a violent military war between USA and USSR to attain Cuba. Scholar says that looking into the Cold War politics and understanding the defects, the negative impacts of world wars. USA and USSR decided not to have military attacks to attain Cuba. Instead, both of them on the 1962 itself, in the year 1962, on 28 October, they have signed a treaty, a peace treaty, and they have stopped this Cuban Missile Crisis, where USA decided not to attack or disturb Cuba. They promised that, and even USSR destroyed the military base that they had created in Cuba to attack USA. In short, Cuban Missile Crisis did not lead to any violence or any wars during the Cold War period. Instead, both the two superpowers accepted the flow of Cold War period, and this Cuban Missile Crisis never turned into a violent attack between USA and USSR. Instead, it ended up very nicely through a treaty signed in 28 October 1962, where both the two superpowers decided to avoid war, and they removed themselves in their own ways apart from Cuba, and Cuba remained to be as an independent country, or we can say a independent island. Our fourth topic is non-aligned movement, or NAM. During the Cold War phase, apart from the two superpowers, we also see the existence of non-aligned movement, or NAM. The very term NAM, it implies that this particular group, they decided not to be an ally or not to join any of the two superpowers, that is non-aligned movement, because during the Cold War phase, smaller countries used to join either of the two superpowers, USA and USSR, but NAM as a movement, 5 countries, they came up deciding that they will not join any of the two superpowers, and those 5 countries, or the founding members of NAM, who decided not to join any of the two superpowers during the Cold War period, was India, Egypt, Yugoslavia, Indonesia and Ghana. So all the leaders, they sat together, and these 5 countries, they decided not to join any of the two superpowers. And it has been said that in case of India, this concept of non-alignment or the non-aligned movement got its strength under Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of the country. These 5 nations, India, Egypt, Indonesia, Ghana and Yugoslavia, they decided 3 particular things. Number 1, that they will have cooperation among themselves, and they will think that they are not under any of the two superpowers, but they want that the identity of the third world developing countries ought to have an identity of the countries of Latin America, Africa, Asia, etc. Number 2, they decided that they will not take the psychological pressure of joining any of the two superpowers, having two separate enemy ideology, that is, they will not take the psychological pressure of joining capitalism under USA, or psychological pressure of joining USSR under having the ideology of communism. And the third point, it is this, it, as I said earlier, that it always wants the African countries also to come into picture in global politics, because during the Cold War phase, people, it was been seen that they only came to know about the NATO groups or the members of NATO which were under USA, talking only about capitalism, and the other hand, they only know about the Warsaw Group, talking about and popularizing the concept of communism. So non-aligned movement, by not joining any of the two superpowers, it wanted the third world developing countries or the African countries into particular, that they should come equally into focus, equally into picture in world politics in that era. Moreover, the first NAM summit took place in the year 1961 in Belgrade, and initially it had 25 members. Like Myanmar, Sri Lanka also attended the first summit. However, presently it has 125 members and 25 extra observers, and even NAM is relevant in present day. These NAM countries, they always tried to avoid war. They were neither neutral nor isolated even during the Cold War period, but they only does not wanted to join officially under any superpowers, because countries like India, in the year 1947, they just got it their independence from a colonial powers, so they do not wanted to go under a superpower again during the Cold War period. So this led to the coming up of NAM as a group in the Cold War period, and it is also a part of equal part of the Cold War politics, that is of not to join any of these superpowers, but not also to remain isolated or neutral, but to have a new stand for the third world developing countries, or also to have a new picture about the Asian nations and the African nations, to come up in the global politics. Our next topic is NIEO, or the New International Economic Order. NIEO is also the outcome of having NAM in the Cold War politics. NIEO mainly focused on the trade relations. It focused on 4 points. Number 1, that the developing countries should get rights on minerals, and the developed countries should not exploit the developing countries for the use of minerals. Number 2, developing countries should get the right to enter the Western markets, so that they can understand that what is the actual price, and the Western countries does not exploit them on economic lines, on prices. Number 3 is to allow the developing countries also to be a part of the international economic agencies, because all the big international economic agencies were under either of the two superpowers. So the developing countries under NAM, they also wanted that they should also get an equal stand and equal understanding of the international economic agencies, how they are working on. And number 4, it is that the technology, the way technology was improving in the global politics, so it was only the Western countries that they were getting the benefits, and they were also selling it. So the developing countries under the NIEO through NAM, they wanted that even on technical lines, that the developing countries also should get a chance to see what is the market price and how things are going on, and how market is running on technological lines, so that they are not being exploited by the Western countries. So it was in the period of 1980s that NAM, they took seriously about the economic matters, and it is this seriousness of NAM working for the developing countries for the development of their economy led to the coming up of NIEO during the Cold War period. I am again repeating it again. NIEO stands for New International Economic Order. Our next topic is the arenas of the Cold War period. So we see the arenas of Cold War period in 3 phases. Number 1 phase was the Cuban Missile Crisis. I have explained all about Cuban Missile Crisis earlier, so I am not going to repeat it again. However, the Cuban Missile Crisis was a phase in the 1960s that Cold War saw, and it it was been felt by the global politics that it was about to be a hot war and a cancellation of Cold War period, and it was going to be a military attack between USA and USSR, but it was hopefully it was been avoided by both the two superpowers, and a peace treaty was signed by 28 October 1962. The second phase that we saw, as an arena of the Cold War period, was the coming up of NAM. Non-aligned movement was also looked as to be a threatening object during the Cold War period, where the small nations were joining either of the two superpowers and coming up of a third party saying that they are not going to be a friend or an ally of any of the two superpowers was regarded to be as a threat for some of the scholars, what they say in political science. But it was also been seen that the two superpowers understood that the idea and the thing of the third world developing countries, and they never forced the NAM countries, that is the third world developing countries and the African countries, the countries of Asia and Latin America, they never forced them to join either of the two ideological blocks. So the second phase or the arena of Cold War was NAM. First is, as I said, Cuban Missile Crisis phase, where we thought that it was going to be a military attack and end of Cold War period, but we managed by signing it a peace treaty. Number 2 was the NAM. Then they thought that okay, now a third party has come, maybe conflict might occur, but still it was not been forced or any kind of violence was not seen on the part of the superpowers, neither by NAM. And the third phase is that even the superpowers, they decided, they took steps and they decided of disarmament, because the whole world was going through the pain of the consequences of world wars in the past. So all of them, they decided for arms control, and they came up with many peace treaties and disarmament treaties and acts like LTBT, CTBT, NPT, etc. So these are the three main arenas of the Cold War period. Our last topic is India and Cold War. India during the Cold War period is mostly known through NAM, that is the non-aligned movement. It became popular because during that phase or era where the smaller countries, they immediately decided to join either of the two superpowers during the Cold War phase, and then India decided to come as a third party during the Cold War and decided not to join any of the two power blocks or the enemy camps. So this was very unique of India under Nehru, and India under Nehru is called to be the chief architect of non-aligned movement. They took the initiative actually, and India served two purposes during the Cold War phase. Number one purpose was to not to go into an ally of any of the two superpowers and to take their own decisions. Number two was to act as a buffer zones and to promote more of peace, more of harmony and brotherhood among the countries. However, later on, scholars also criticized the role of India during the Cold War era, because later on it was been seen that India, they started having friendship with USSR or the present day Russia. So they were often criticized, saying that India, although during the Cold War period they said that they are not going to join any of the two superpowers, but later on a sense of friendship was seen between USSR and India. But despite this criticism, one cannot avoid the role of India as to how they have created a kind of new image and identity of the newly independent countries during the Cold War period. So with this, we came to an end of your chapter 1. I hope you liked the video. Thank you and have a nice day.